My name is John, and I've been married to Kate for 3 years. Shortly after our wedding, we moved into a modest 2-bedroom apartment right in the heart of the city. Everything felt stable, even predictable, until her friend Lila's marriage ended. That's when the shift began. At first, it didn't register as anything serious. Lila was reeling from the breakup, and Kate naturally wanted to support her. They went out a few times, had dinner, came home in good spirits, laughing about silly moments and harmless drama. But gradually, girls' night began to morph into something else entirely. The dinners turned into loud club nights. No more 8 p.m. reservations. Instead, they were leaving the house after 10 and rolling back in around 3 or 4 in the morning, still buzzing from the music and adrenaline, bragging about how they owned the dance floor. Within a month or two, it became their Friday-Saturday ritual. Kate would spend an hour getting ready, slipping into dresses that barely qualified as clothing, then flood Instagram with captions like, "Ladies' night, no boys allowed," always posing with Lila. The stories she told afterward grew increasingly strange. Some guy bought us a table. The promoter hooked us up with a free bottle. We skipped the line like VIPs. You should have seen the jealous looks on everyone's faces. The energy had changed, less support group, more thrill-seeking. One Saturday evening, while scrolling through Instagram, I came across a clip Monica had posted to her story. There was Kate, my wife, pressed tightly against some guy on the dance floor, moving in sync like they'd known each other intimately. This wasn't some harmless two-step. This was intentional, up close, and way too familiar. When she got home later that night, I stayed calm. I told her, "Kate, I saw Monica's story. That kind of dancing made me uncomfortable." She didn't flinch. "Are you seriously stalking my friends on social media? That's creepy, John. It was just dancing. Don't be so insecure." I tried again, carefully. "Dancing like that, with strangers, isn't just dancing." Her eyes narrowed. "God, you're so controlling. If I go out with my single friends and you can't handle it, that's toxic masculinity, plain and simple. Either you trust me or you don't. End of story." And just like that, I stopped arguing. If she saw boundaries as control, then it was time to let her feel what freedom looked like when it applied both ways. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't storm out or slam doors. I simply said, "You're right." She looked pleased, even smug, gave me a quick kiss on the cheek and left with Lila as if she'd just won a debate. That night, I sat in silence on the couch, playing her words over and over in my mind. If grinding on random men didn't count as cheating, then surely neither did meeting strangers online, right? Boundaries had to be mutual. So I downloaded a dating app, not to actually date, and definitely not to betray her, but to prove a point. I uploaded a few solo pictures and wrote a bio that said, "Looking for someone who values communication and mutual respect. No drama, no games." I wasn't hunting for connection. I was sending a message. Within an hour, the matches began pouring in. By midnight, there were already a dozen. One of them caught me off guard. It was Monica. Yes, that Monica, the one who'd shared the video. She matched instantly and sent a message. "John, what are you doing here?" I replied, "Just meeting new people. Kate says trust matters and controlling behavior is toxic, so I'm listening to her and focusing on personal growth." She didn't respond. 20 minutes later, my phone lit up. Kate was yelling through the receiver, "Why the hell are you on Hinge?" I stayed level. Personal development, expanding my social circle. "You're on a dating app while married, and you're out dancing with strangers every weekend. How exactly is that different?" She snapped. "That's not the same at all. I'm out with my friends. And I'm on our living room couch swiping through profiles. Which of us is really crossing the line?" "Delete it, John, now." I paused. "That's sounding a bit controlling, Kate." She hung up. She came home earlier than usual that night. There was no laughter in the hallway, no giggles with Lila, just silence. And for the first time, I saw the uncertainty crack through her confidence. She finally got a glimpse of what it felt like to live with ambiguous boundaries. By Sunday, the ripple effects had already started. Monica must have told their entire circle, because while Kate sat at the kitchen table scrolling through her phone, she slammed it down in frustration and glared at me. "You think you're clever? Everyone's laughing at you." I took a calm sip of coffee. Strange. I felt like the punchline when you were grinding on strangers in a nightclub. That afternoon, she made her own dating profile. The bio read, "Getting over a controlling husband. Looking for a real man who isn't intimidated by a woman with a social life." I didn't react. 2 days later, something unexpected popped up. A match request from Farah, one of Kate's colleagues. Her message read, "John, are you and Kate over? I saw you here and figured it must be true." I replied, "I guess we're on a break." She wanted her space. By the following morning, the rumor mill had done its work. Word had spread around Kate's office. She stormed in after work, slamming her purse onto the counter. "You told people at my job we're on a break?" she snapped. I met her glare calmly. "You said you needed freedom. That's what you've been telling people, right?" "You're making me look bad," she snapped. I raised an eyebrow. "Pretty rich, considering you're advertising it on dating apps." That Friday, she decided to make things theatrical. Kate invited over a group of friends, Diana, Serena, Monica, and a couple new faces I'd never seen before. They arranged themselves on the couch like a courtroom panel. Diana took the lead. "John, this whole dating app move, it's manipulative. You're gaslighting her." I leaned forward slightly. "So me being on a dating app is toxic, but her dancing on strangers at nightclubs is perfectly innocent?" "Got it." Serena jumped in. "It's dancing. That's what people do at clubs, and dating apps are for meeting people. It's the same thing." Silence settled. Then Kate stood up. "Fine. Keep your dumb profile. I couldn't care less. I'm updating mine anyway." That night, her bio changed. "In an open relationship, my husband thinks he's proving a point. Joke's on him." Whatever quiet we had left was gone. It was all out in the open now, and neither of us was backing off. The next weekend, Kate got dressed up in a silver dress and Lila honked from the curb. Off they went. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. Around midnight, I got a message on Instagram from a guy named Thomas who lived nearby. He'd been at a bar on the other side of town. The message said, "Hey man, is this your wife?" Attached was a video. I tapped it. There she was, Kate, making out with some guy by the DJ booth while her friends clapped and laughed. A minute later, the same guy had his arm around her as Marco, the club promoter, led them behind a velvet rope into a private section. I didn't feel my stomach drop. No burning sensation. Instead, there was this strange, quiet sense of release, like finally pouring out spoiled milk you've been pretending was still fine. I took screenshots, saved the clip. Then I sat down and drafted a formal notice. Miss Alvarez, our building manager, had already told us once before Kate wasn't on the lease. She was listed as a permitted occupant, and that meant I could remove her with a written statement. The next morning, around 10 a.m., Kate wandered in looking exhausted. I was already at the kitchen table. The notice sat beside me. "Rough night?" I asked, keeping my tone even. She tossed her bag on the floor. "Don't start." "I'm not starting anything. I'm finishing it." I pushed the document toward her. "You've got 30 days. She blinked. "What is this?" "Termination of occupancy," I replied. "You're not on the lease. You pay rent to me monthly, and by law that gives you 30 days. You can't just—" I cut her off, holding up my phone. I played the video of her kissing the stranger at the bar. She froze. "That's not what it looks like." "It looks like you're kissing him." "It was a dare," she stammered. "The girls dared me. It meant nothing." I stood up slowly, calm. And this means nothing too. I'm done. 30 days. Use them. For once, Kate didn't have a single thing to say. During the first week after I gave her the notice, she tried charm. One morning, she made pancakes, even set the table. "Baby," she said softly, sliding a plate toward me. "We can fix this. I'll stop going out so much." I didn't even lift the fork. "You don't need to change who you are to make me happy, Kate. That would be controlling." Her smile faltered, just for a second. By week's end, the sweetness had curdled into bitterness. She went on Facebook and posted a long tirade about toxic husbands who can't handle strong women. I responded in the comments with the video Thomas had sent. She took the post down 5 minutes later. The following Friday, she pulled one last stunt. I was working late when she threw what she called a farewell pregame at our place. Nearly 20 people filled the apartment. The bass from the music shook the floorboards. Then I got a text from my neighbor. "John, is this your party? It's getting out of hand." I called the cops, reported a noise disturbance at my own address. I hadn't even disclosed my unit number. Still, by the time I got back, the party had already been shut down. The place looked like a disaster zone. Beer bottles littered the floor, the coffee table had a cigarette burn, and someone had thrown up in the bathroom. I walked room to room with my phone out, capturing photos of every bit of the damage. The next morning, while she sat at the kitchen table, I placed my phone in front of her and calmly began swiping through the images. "You're cleaning all of this up today," I told her in a level tone, "or I'll be deducting the expenses from your deposit." She blinked at me, confused. "What deposit? That was grocery money." I opened the Venmo app and rotated the screen toward her. "Move-in deposit, $500, I read. "That's what the memo says. That's what it was." She stared at the screen, stunned and silent. 2 hours later, the front door opened, and in walked Diana, Serena, and Monica, armed with trash bags and cleaning gear. As they scrubbed the place down, I could hear them muttering about how petty and controlling I was. I didn't engage. I simply told them I had errands to run and stepped out, leaving them to the stench of bleach. When I returned, the apartment was spotless. Kate sat sulking on the couch, brooding like a grounded teenager. "You've got a few more weeks left," I reminded her. She shot me a glare. "You're going to regret this, John." I glanced at the gleaming floor beneath us. "I doubt that." The following week, Kate tried a different tactic. This time, she brought backup. I got home Tuesday evening to find her mother, Patricia, seated stiffly on the couch. Kate stood behind her, arms crossed in defiance. "John," Patricia began, her tone heavy with disapproval, "Kate tells me you're kicking her out. After everything she's done for this relationship?" I didn't respond right away. Instead, I pulled up a saved video on my phone and placed it on the coffee table between us. Patricia leaned in to watch. The footage showed her daughter kissing another man in a crowded bar. She watched silently, then turned slowly to Kate. "You didn't mention this," Kate protested. "It was a dare, Mom. It didn't mean anything." Patricia stood up from the couch. "You're doing all this and blaming him?" Kate's jaw dropped. "Mom!" Meanwhile, the fallout began at her workplace. Farah, the coworker who had previously matched with me on the app, had apparently shared the news with someone else. By Thursday, HR had pulled Kate into a meeting after someone flagged her clubbing videos on Instagram, posted while she was supposedly out sick. She came home furious, slamming every door she passed. Even her social circle started to splinter. Diana stopped coming by, clearly distancing herself from the unfolding mess. Serena, however, doubled down, loudly telling anyone who'd listen that I was the manipulative one. Monica kept quiet, watching everything unfold but keeping her opinions to herself. I focused on logistics. Each night I printed a checklist with line items for utilities, joint subscriptions, and final bills. One copy went on the fridge, the other stayed on my desk. No raised voices, no arguments, just facts, figures, and timelines. One night, Kate stood in the kitchen, staring at the list taped to the refrigerator. "You really think this makes you some kind of hero?" she said. "Being cold, calculated?" I gave a casual shrug. "It makes me finished." She yanked the paper off the fridge, crumpled it into a ball, and stormed off to the bedroom. Move-out day landed on a Saturday. I got up early, packed up her belongings into boxes, and stacked them neatly by the front door. She was still in bed, scrolling through her phone like none of it mattered. "You can't just dump my stuff out there," she finally said when she noticed. "You had 30 days, I reminded her. "Today's the deadline." She got on the phone and called Diana and Serena, pleading for help. They showed up about an hour later, bringing Marco, the club promoter who'd been giving them VIP access and free drinks. He leaned in the doorway, taking in the scene with detached amusement. Kate turned to him, hoping for support. "Tell him he can't do this." Marco rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. "Kate, maybe just take your stuff. It's not worth the fight." Her face contorted. "Seriously? You're taking his side?" "I'm taking the side of reality," he muttered. We began hauling box after box down to the sidewalk. Kate followed us on every trip, flinging accusations the entire time. "You're heartless. After everything I sacrificed for you, this is how you treat me?" I set a suitcase down and looked her squarely in the eye. "You didn't sacrifice anything. You traded this marriage for weekend clubbing." She threw one final jab. "You'll regret this, John. I was the best thing that ever happened to you." I never raised my voice. I just told her plainly, "The woman you claim to be doesn't kiss random men while her husband waits at home." By late afternoon, the apartment had fallen into silence. Kate placed her keys on the counter without a word and walked out. The door slammed behind her. For the first time in what felt like forever, the space belonged solely to me again. The weeks that followed her departure were oddly calm. Bits of news reached me through mutual acquaintances. Lila had already moved on, dragging a new guy through the same exhausting routine. Bars, late-night parties, and chaos. Serena still defended Kate on social media, though her posts were starting to echo into silence. At work, Kate's image crumbled. According to Farah, people had started calling her HR's nightmare after she got written up for being glued to her phone and overposting online. The rumors about her club antics and dating profile drama never fully disappeared. 3 weeks after she left, on a Friday night, there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find Kate standing there, eyes puffy, drenched in too much perfume. "I miss you," she said in a hushed voice. "That's nice," I replied, holding the door but not budging. "Can we just talk? Inside?" "No." She tried to step closer, but I didn't move. I simply shut the door in her face. She knocked for 20 minutes before giving up. The next morning, I found a folded note slipped under the door. "You'll never find someone who loves you the way I did." I crumpled it and tossed it straight into the trash. 6 months later, our divorce was finalized. There wasn't anything left to dispute. No kids, no property to split, no shared finances. The lawyer called it a clean dissolution, and it was exactly that. Signing the paperwork didn't feel like an ending. It felt like finally stepping out of a storm I'd been enduring for years. A month after the divorce, I bumped into Patricia at the grocery store. She waved like nothing had happened. Kate was with her, trying her best to disappear into the shelves. Patricia leaned in and said quietly, "She's in therapy now. Finally. Took her long enough. You never tolerated her crap. I always admired that about you." As for me, I walked away with one clear truth. Boundaries aren't a form of control. They're mutual understandings. Without them, love decays. With them, love has a chance.